Showtime! The Capital G show starts right now.
What's up YouTube, Capital G here. What you guys are looking at is the top 4 YCS Toronto deck that was piloted by Sehabi. I cannot pronounce his last name, full disclosure, so I'm not even going to try because I'm just going to butcher the pronunciation. He ran Blackwings, and I have to say this is without a doubt the most hype thing that happened at YCS Toronto because, I mean, Blackwings are officially back. Like, they've been so far gone. It's like seeing a friend that you haven't seen in like 5 years and you're like, oh my god, it's so good to see you. You know, Konami did everything in their power to destroy this deck and get us to stop playing them, and to see them completely revitalized in the TCG, I mean, literally it brings a smile to my face. And I knew the second that Whirlwind went to 3, that's why I was so excited that it could literally take Blackwings to at least contend to tier 1 because, you know, the deck has so many good monsters. It just kind of needed some way to get you those good monsters. And let's talk about the deck first, and then I'll go into more thoughts. He ran 3 Shura, 3 Bora, 3 Kalut, 2 Sirocco, 2 copies of Blizzard. He ran 1 Gale. He ran Zephyros, Vayu, and Dark Arm Dragon. He also ran 3 Maxis. For the spells, he ran 3 Black Whirlwind, 3 Duality, cards for Black Feathers, Allure of Darkness, and Book of Moon. And then for the traps, 3 Icarus Attack, 2 Mirror Force, 2 Phoenix Chain, Deck Devastation Virus, Solemn Warning, Bottomless Trap Hole, and Torrential Tribute. Alright, so first things first, Black Whirlwind just makes this whole deck come together. It gives the deck a whole bunch of options. Like, the one thing about Black Whirlwind is it's not as good as Wind Up Factory, but in this deck it's better than what Wind Up Factory does for windups. And windups, all it does is I mean, every time somebody searches from Wind Up Factory, all they do is get Sharks or Magician. You know, all they're trying to do is explode. But what Whirlwind does for Blackwings is so much more because, you know, it can put you in a position to where you can just go offensively crazy. You know, you can search Gales or Boras and special summon them to the field and just put a whole bunch of damage on board. Or you can play defensively and control the battle phase using something like a Search Kalut to pretty much keep your opponent at check or at least make them go other routes as far as clearing your monsters. You know, you can even work all the way down to Blizzard searching a Vayu and still not lose any advantage while still giving yourself, you know, board presence. So Black Whirlwind just, it makes the whole deck just so much better. It gives the deck an element that it didn't have before. And honestly, my biggest question going into this format for Blackwings, I knew that they had the talent to be a top 5 deck, kind of like how the Dallas Cowboys have the talent to be one of the best teams in football, but they never quite put it together. Would Blackwings have the speed to keep up with the meta? And I think it was incredibly smart for him to run cards of Black Feathers. When Duality went to 3, it gave this deck the speed that it needed to keep up, so that pretty much every game you could get to Black Whirlwind by turn 2. But when you add in cards of Black Feathers plus Allure of Darkness, you have 5 draw engines right here. So with your 5 draw engines plus your 3 copies of Whirlwind, you are going to hit a Whirlwind by turn 2 pretty much every single game. Now, one of the absolute monsters in this deck is Icarus Attack. Like, quite frankly, I think that it was just genius of him not to run MST because you don't need it. You know, if your summon gets bottomless, you just Icarus them. You know, if you attack into a Mirror Force, you Icarus them. If your opponent threatens your monster, you Icarus them. I mean, Blackwings are already a deck where they're pretty much resistant to effects. I mean, hell, I got 9th place out of regionals where I was running Skill Drain in the main. You know, cards like a Fat Veiler and Phoenix Chain don't really hurt the deck. So when you're using Icarus Attack, you're pretty much only responding when your monster is, you know, threatened by destruction or threatened by battle. And it's pretty difficult to threaten Blackwings by battle because they've got 3 copies of Kalut, which they can search through Whirlwind. So as I'm looking at this deck, I mean, it pretty much has all of its bases covered. The only thing that I would probably do is I probably wouldn't have ran Deck Devastation Virus. I would have ran a card like Evac or something like that. But, you know, it's pretty good against Mermills. It can be decent against the Dragon Ruler deck because you can kill off all the plants and just leave them with a bunch of Dragon Rulers. Hopefully they can't, you know, summon them. I think including 3 Maxis in the main deck was also really smart. You look at the Mermills, you know, it's a deck that, again, is just crippled when you play Maxi because they have to stop all their plays, especially if you happen to Maxi them when they play Abyss Sphere. You know, Dragon Ruler plants, that's a deck that wants to go special summon heavy too. And then most of the decks in the format. If you happen to run into some of the random decks like, you know, Agents, where you can just play it off of the Venus, or you happen to run into a deck like Infernity, these are decks that kind of go special, something crazy, and Maxi's there to pretty much just keep them in check. Same thing with Fiendish Chain. There is a lot of, you know, normal summons that are being used on monsters where a lot of their normal summons are going to monsters with trigger effects, and they need those pretty much to set up their play. I'm talking about Dragoonity Ducks or, you know, Little Blue Boy and Spellbooks. And if you can Fiendish Chain and get rid of those cards early, your opponent's in a very, very bad position. So I like this deck. I think that this will become the norm as far as Blackwings go. I don't think you need an MST. I think the deck is fast enough because you've got 8 ways to get to your Whirlwind turn 1. And Whirlwind is absolutely just a behemoth of a card. So thank you guys for watching as always. Yeah, it's really, really good to see Blackwings back. Take care, guys. Subscribing makes life happy.